The draft belongs to the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that means that new general manager Steve Yzerman will have his moment in the spotlight. Now, if you think that Yzerman was shaped by his Detroit experience, which he was, the Detroit model is very simple. It is built on the defense. The Red Wings concern themselves less with goaltending than any other team in the NHL. They are concerned primarily with building from defense. And if Yzerman is true to form, he's got a choice here between Brandon Gormley and Cam Fowler.
Just remember this. He lived this entire season right across the river from Windsor, where Cam Fowler played. He saw the Windsor Spitfires play a ton of games. So he's probably more familiar with Cam Fowler than he is with Brandon Gormley.
Lightning, by the way, picked second overall last year, took defenseman Victor Hedman. The year before that, they picked first overall and took Steven Stamkos. So there's the Red Wings table, wondering what Stevie Y will do.
Just to complicate matters for you, a little rumor I heard this morning, and it's a little bit off the wall, is that the Tampa Bay Lightning maybe had some interest in the injury wild card of this first round, Brett Connolly.
So Brett Connolly is the guy that we've talked about as someone who could go anywhere from here to 30th or beyond in this draft. He's the Prince George Cougars star who played in just 16 games in the regular season, suffered a series of hip injuries, and his MRIs, if they were done, were not made available to National Hockey League.
There was no MRI done.
Yeah, there was no MRI done. People are saying there was an MRI done. There was no MRI done.
In fact, teams requested of the agent Jerry Johansson for Brett Connolly to have an MRI done, and the Johansson refused and said he's a healthy player, he doesn't need an MRI, and so we'll see where that goes. But
by the way, to Yzerman's right is Jim Hammett, who has spent the season as the chief scout for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And Yzerman also, the Detroit model is, you let people do their jobs, and Yzerman will let Hammett make the decision.
I have a question for you two gentlemen. Tampa Bay, Vinny Lecavalier, Marty St. Louis, they hired a young coach, Guy Boucher, who's offensive-oriented. Victor Hedman's an offensive type of defenseman. They need defense. At the end of the day, this team needs defense.
And the two blue-chip defensemen that are still on the board, Gormley and Fowler, provide it in different ways. Fowler is a rushing defenseman with a big shot from the point. He's not a power play quarterback per se, but he makes things happen on the ice when he's got the puck. He's a dynamic skater. Brandon Gormley is a poor man's Nick Lidstrom, very cerebral, plays the game. There's no wow factor to his game. He doesn't plow people hard in terms of being a physical player. He doesn't rack up a huge number of points, but he thinks the game, separates people from the puck, makes a great first pass, and is tremendously mobile. This is going to be an interesting pick.
For veteran people watching this draft coverage, Brandon Gormley is Jacques Laperriere reincarnated. That's how he plays.
By the way, no second for the Lightning that was traded to Boston in the Mark Recchi deal, so they want to make this pick count because they don't pick again until the third round when the Lightning have 3 selections.
Speaking of Jacques Laperriere, right to Steve Yzerman's left, Charlie Hodge, a former goaltender of the Montreal Canadiens.
Thank you. Thank you. With the 6th pick, the Tampa Bay Lightning select from the Prince George Cougars of the Western Canadian Hockey League, Brett Connolly.
Wow.
And that Charlie Hodge is our Western scout. That's why he was standing just off to the left of Steve Yzerman. This one's either a home run, actually this one's either a grand slam or a ground out. You don't know because of the injury situation. If this kid's as good as he showed 2 years ago where he scored 30 goals, he is going to be a special offensive player.
And their head scout, Jim Hammett, is from British Columbia, and so too is Brett Connolly. And we talked about it, only 16 regular season games over the course of this year because of problems that started back at the Ivan Holinka Under-18 tournament in August. Did not play particularly well at the Under-18 tournament, the World Championships in April, although the guys with Hockey Canada believe that was more a conditioning issue than it was an injury issue. Brett Connolly maintains that he's healthy, and we'll find out.
Well, here's the issue with Connolly. He comes into this draft now as having one of the thinnest resumes of any top 10 pick in the history of the draft. Gord Kluzak had played 38 games when he was drafted first overall by the Bruins in '82. Rocky Trottier, Drake Perahowski, Andre Kostitsin had all played a limited number of games, and based on that, this is an enormous gamble. But one Western Hockey League general manager told me that without question, Brett Connolly is the most talented offensive player in their league. Not the most talented draft-eligible player, the most talented offensive player in their league.
And in addition to the question about his hip condition, as he shakes hands, you'll notice his right hand. When he was 5 years old, he had his right hand absolutely crushed, and I mean literally crushed, in a metal gate at an athletic field. He had to have plates and pins put in it. When you shake hands with Brett Connolly, there's not a lot of structure to the hand. He's got a huge scar on it. There were a lot of teams that were actually concerned about that, wondering, might he get arthritis earlier in his hand? It's in the control hand he's a right-hand shot, so it's the lower hand. But listen, he scored 30 goals as a 16-year-old in the Western Hockey League, the first guy to do that since Patrick Marleau. So it's a proud moment for Brett Connolly, and I'll tell you what, they're celebrating coast to coast. His dad, Pat Connolly, and his mom, they're native Newfoundlanders who came across the country looking for work in British Columbia. And so there's all sorts of people back on the island who are absolutely thrilled with this pick. Lots of friends and family back there, and of course they now make their home in Prince George, so this is a coast-to-coast celebration for Brett Connolly and his family.
Guy Boucher likes to coach up-tempo hockey. Brett Connolly's an up-tempo player. He's going to fit in with LeCavier, St. Louis, Stamkos. This is nice if it all works out health-wise for Brett Connolly.
But there are a lot of teams that were scared off. There were a lot of teams that weren't going to draft this guy because they do fear that the hip condition might be more prolonged than that. By his way, his brother Josh was drafted in the 3rd round by the Kamloops Blazers in the Bantam draft.
All right, and he is standing by, along with Steve Yzerman, with our James Duthie.
All right, thanks very much, guys. We'll let Brett get situated here. I could sense how frustrated you were in the weeks leading up about all the injury questions. The guys were just talking about it. Did you start to fear that you would drop, that all this talk would materialize into something? And how relieved were you when you heard your name called?
Yeah, you always wonder how far you're going to drop. And, I mean, I was fortunate to get picked by the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I'm ecstatic, and I can't wait.
Tell people what you know, that you're healthy.
Well, I've been cleared by 3 doctors, and I know better than anyone else that I'm healthy and I'm ready to play, and I can't wait to get going. I can't wait to get at training camp.
Steve, was it a concern? Obviously not enough to make you not pick Brett Connolly. Was the 16 games last year a factor?
Well, I think it was a factor that he was available with the 6th pick, because if he had been healthy all year, based on everything I know, there's no way he would have been available at the 6th pick. So I know the type of injury that he's had, and it's a frustrating thing but by no means do I think it's anything that's going to be a problem in the future. It's just, it's a muscular thing that will be corrected, and is corrected, and he's healthy, and it wasn't a concern for us.
First rookie in the W a couple of years ago to score 30 goals since Patrick Marleau. Pretty darn good company. You're looking forward to perhaps playing with Steven Stamkos within a year or two?
Yeah, that'd be a treat, and I'm going to work my hardest to crack the roster, and like I said, I can't wait to get to training camp, and I can't wait to get going here.
Steve, this is one of the first steps in a big job for you. What about your 2 stars, Marty St. Louis and Vincent LeCavalier? How do they fit into your plans right now?
Well, they're veteran guys that have won and are great examples. They're the leaders on our team. Guy Boucher, our new coach, will really lean on them right off the bat to guide not only Steve and eventually Brett on the team. We want to be good. It's going to take some time to get to where we really want to be. But it's important to have quality character veteran guys to set the example and be good role models and be good leaders on the team. So we're fortunate to have guys like that to set an example for Steven Stamkos and Brett as well.
You're working on an extension for St. Louis?
I've got a lot on my plate right now, and I've had the opportunity to have some discussions with Marty's agent a little bit. So.
Thanks. Steve Yzerman, his first pick as general manager of the National Hockey League, and it is Brett Connolly. Congratulations, Brett.
Thank you.
All right, so we're through the